Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here from Droid Life, and today we are doing an overview of the software found on the OnePlus 3. Now, before I dive into it, I will say that this OnePlus 3 unit is not running the new update that OnePlus announced for the OnePlus 3, which includes the sRGB for the display mode, as well as some RAM management. But, we don't need that update in order to do a software overview, because most of the changes that are coming inside of that update don't really affect the entirety of the software, what you're going to find. I mean, really all the features that are already baked into the phone will remain. Not much of them are changing, and there's probably going to be some bug fixes, but other than that, nothing too crazy. So to start, I will say that the OnePlus 3 is a very good device when it comes to the software. Anyone who knows me personally knows that I prefer the stock Android style that you'd find on the Nexus device or certain Motorola devices, more so than you find on devices from like Samsung with TouchWiz or LG or HTC. I just prefer personally that stock Android feel. And so what I like about the OnePlus 3 is that it brings that stock Android look and vibe, same type of pull down systems and settings UI that you would expect. But OnePlus builds on top their own special software tweaks and little customization things that I personally really enjoy. They take that stock Android experience, but then they just add to it. So already the hardware wise, you can say this is a good $400 phone, even if it was just running bare bones stock Android. But with those minor software tweaks, it really provides a bit more bang for your buck. So let's dive into it and show you what to expect if you were thinking about picking one of these up. The first things that I will show you is that there are plenty of gestures you can play around with on the phone, and these gestures are associated with the display off. So not the lock screen, but when the display is completely turned off. So there's a few things that you can do. You can control your music, and I'll sort of show you that. You can start and pause playback by drawing a pause with 2-finger swipe down on the display. And so I felt the phone vibrate, and then the music starts playing. Display doesn't light up or anything like that. It just starts playing the music. And then I can pause it by doing the same, just by drawing the pause with the 2 lines down. Now, if music is playing, I can actually not fast forward, but I can skip that track. So say I want to go 2 songs over, I could press play, draw an arrow, and then another arrow, and the music is playing. So definitely a nice little touch. If you're, say, out on a walk or something, you don't want to, fingerprint, open the phone up, get to the music app, find a track. If you know exactly where you're going through an album, you can just do cute little gestures like that and really kind of breeze through the experience. Another gesture is when you're on the display is off. I want to keep saying the lock screen, but when the display is off, you can draw a circle, and that will open up the camera, and then already you are ready to start shooting pictures. Definitely a nice little touch. And so to show you how to get to these gestures, you have to go down into your settings menu and then scroll down, and below where it says personal, you're going to hit on gestures. And then right here, you're going to see every gesture that at least is available when the display is off. So there's the double tap to wake, which I'm pretty sure was made famous on old HTC One devices. So when the display is off, you can just double tap, and that'll wake the display. And all of these, you can turn all of them off, or you can set on and off each individual gesture. And then another one, say it's nighttime, I'm walking my dogs. One of my favorites is you draw a V, and it turns on the flashlight. And that way you can see what's in front of you, in case you need that. On the home screen, moving away from gestures, OnePlus has a feature called Shelf. And it's in the same place where, say, the Google Now tray would be, depending on what launcher you use. But if you swipe towards the right, so to the left side of your home screen, there's this thing called Shelf. And Shelf is a place where you can add widgets, recent applications, favorite contacts. You can even add little memos to yourself, as well as get like a temperature or weather readout for your area. And so when you don't have all of these enabled, and I do currently have them all enabled, you add different sort of areas to the shelf. So right now I can keep adding widgets, but I already have the only widget that I really need, and that's the Google Now widget showing me, who the Giants are playing today. And these recent applications, these are changeable depending on which apps you're using the most. So it's kind of smart in that sense. And then also, if I don't like the order, I can just drag and drop, and say if I want my milk memo all the way down, I can easily move them. So going down now into the complete settings menu here, we're going to go ahead and swipe away that music notification because I don't need it. Down to the system toggles. So this is one of the features I was mentioning that I really like. I love this about stock Android, but then I like what OnePlus 3 did with it. So if I say don't need one of these system toggles, I can easily hit the little pencil button, and then I can just tap on which ones I want hidden from the pull down. So say I don't ever use a hotspot, I don't really ever need to invert my colors. So I can tap to disable those toggles, press save there in the top right, and now whenever I pull down my menu, those options won't be available to me because I never use them. So additionally, there's another place to access that, and it's inside of the menu. And I do believe it's under customizations, and then right there, status bar. And so all of the different system toggles for the status bar are right here. You can enable them, disable them, and then from the pull down, that's where you can actually kind of mute them or hide them from the actual system tray. Definitely a nice touch from OnePlus. Back into the settings menu. So here's your standard settings menu. Looks just like what you get on stock Android. In the display settings, you can actually change up the color balance. Now again, like I mentioned, this is before or pre-sRGB update, which is coming, which will change a few of the settings menus, but it's not going to be too crazy. You can mess with your color balance if you want to get a more blue or a more kind of, I guess I would say yellow or orangish. But I kind of like it right there where kind of white looks white, and definitely don't want too much blue. You can also enable the night mode, which comes on this phone. So say if it's dark, you're trying to read your phone in the bed and you don't want the light too bright, you enable that night mode and it will sort of ease the viewing on the eyes a little bit. But during the day, definitely don't want that on too much. You can also enable the night mode from the pull down menu, and you'll see a little moon right there, and you can just hit that and it'll turn on the night mode. Definitely a nice little touch. You don't see that on too many other phones. Going down, I wanted to touch on all of the customization that OnePlus offers. So in the customization, you can enable what's called the dark mode, not the night mode, but the dark mode. When you hit that dark mode, everything goes black. But with that, you can actually change which accent color you see. So for me personally, I have the reddish selected, but you can go for more of a cyan color, and you enable that, and then now your settings menu, all the little icons will be that cyan color. And then quickly, of course, you can disable that by going back into the customization menu, hitting that dark mode. It'll say you're about to revert back, and it's as easy as that. Down here in the LED notifications, you can change up which color the LED light flashes when you have like an alert or a notification. And then you can actually change that per app, so on a per app level. So if you want to change the notification light for any notifications you might be getting, this is where you're going to do it. Moving on, back down below that, we have the buttons. Now this is the big thing. This comes all the way from the OnePlus 1, which allows you to choose between on-screen buttons or capacitive buttons. Personally, I'm an on-screen button guy, but on the OnePlus 3, I've actually been going with capacitive just to kind of get more screen usage. It's something you can change any day. It's not where it's hardware dependent or anything like, once you say if you get a Samsung phone, you're stuck with those hardware keys. I like that about the OnePlus 3, where I can choose, my personal preference. So I can easily hit those on-screen nav buttons, and then they just toggle right there on the bottom. I can also swap them. Personally, I swap them because I'm so used to how Samsung has their hardware buttons kind of backwards, at least according to kind of how Google lays out their on-screen keys. So forgive me, I'm weird. But so now I have on-screen keys. That means that when I press down here where the capacitive buttons usually would be, nothing's happening, although my fingerprint reader still works, and I can also have my fingerprint reader still act as a home button regardless of whether I'm using capacitive or on screen. So for me, I'm going to stick to capacitive. I'm going to swap my buttons because Samsung has trained my brain wrong, and we're going to keep moving on. Down in the, I wanted to show you real quick about the which Android version I was running here, Android 6.0.1 and then OxygenOS 3.1.2. So that will be changing, like I mentioned, thanks to that update that's coming that is bringing the sRGB as well as some RAM management issues. But on top of that, so give you an overview real quickly. So OnePlus 3 definitely brings that stock Android feel, but has a few custom tweaks, which really sort of, puts it a step above features, like say versus the Nexus devices. Nexus devices running just stock Android, but that OxygenOS, which is based on Android naturally, it really does bring a few nifty things. And, personally, the shelf isn't something that I would use all too much, especially since I use Google Now Launcher, Nova Launcher, but definitely a nice step. So back onto the home screen, I'll show you one more thing here. When you want to customize your home screen, built into this launcher that the OnePlus 3 ships with, you can actually change the icons and customize it. So definitely a cool feature here. So in the bottom right here, we have customize, and from here we can actually disable shelf or enable it. That quick search right here, we can turn that off completely. Quick notifications, where if you give it a swipe down, it brings down your notification tray. So for example, we just swipe down. Well, at least I thought it would work at least. Let's try again. Customize, quick notifications, swipe down to access notification panel. So maybe it's only when I have new notifications. I don't know. Usually that does work though. But moving on, back into customize. If we swipe to the right, we can change the look of our Google search bar. Definitely a nice touch. We can go to a more transparent look or none at all. Personally, I like sort of that multicolored look right there on the Google logo. Just me though. And this is where it gets cool. This is where we can change the icons for each individual app. So if there's a third-party icon pack, wallpaper pack that you like from Google Play, you have that downloaded, the launcher will recognize that, and then we can enable them. So say I want these Nucleo UI icons, we tap on it, they get enabled, and already you can see my Play Store icon has changed. And then we see that all of my icons have changed. These are not the standard sort of system icons, but they are the Nucleo. And then easily we can go back, change that if we don't like them. We can keep switching through different icon packs until we find something we like. We can also change the size, go to a large or a small, and those are real-time previews, so we can see what to expect once we make the change. So I'm going to go back to system default. I'm also going to go back to the standard size. And then on the far right side, we can actually choose how many apps we want to show on the app drawer. So right now I have large. I want to see as many apps as possible, but I can go to that standard 4 across, or I can even go small 3 across. But I like having the 5 across. I feel like I can just see a lot more, and I'll hit save. And then right there's all of the apps. Perfect. And in terms of special features and all that, that's pretty much about it. The only other thing I can think of right now is if you hit, for example, if you tap on the power button twice real quickly, that'll open up your camera, sort of like how you can do on Samsung devices if you double tap on home real quick. And but on this one it doesn't work because it's a fingerprint reader. So that's it for the OnePlus 3. Like I mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff. For $400, it's already a killer phone, but then when you add in all of the software tweaks on top of that, it gets to be a pretty sweet package. So if you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to shoot them down in the section below. And until then, we're Droid Life. Peace.